biologist, but I can't use a microphone. Is this on? Yeah, it's on. I don't need to. Hello, I'm Gostling, and I've been called many things in my time. I've been called, you know, I'm a pretty good guy. People say that. That's okay. That's quite nice. I get called a little bit plump. That's okay. I'm happy to accept that. That's okay. When I was a teacher, I was called a lot of things, and so I'm very pleased to be back at university now. Because, you know, self-respect when 12-year-olds call you the F word and the C word, whoa. So I'm pleased to be here. But why am I here? And the main problem, I think, is because I say yes far too quickly. A bigger problem is not that I just say yes, but when people say, "Oh, we'll have to sort out the running order," I say, "Yeah, I'll go first." I don't really know what I'm thinking. I'm an evolutionary-developmental biologist and paleontologist, and for me that means that every day I'm thinking about how organisms fit into the grand scheme of things. I'm thinking about their interactions in niches, they're basically what makes them work, and the pressures that are on them. And at the moment, I'm feeling a bit out of my comfort zone. It feels a bit like natural selection is on its way for me, and so I'm going to do my very best tonight to adapt rather than go extinct. Paleontologists. If you were to think of a paleontologist, who would you come up with?
Ross from Friends!
You might indeed come up with Ross from Friends.
Spencer!
Pardon?
Hubert Spencer?
Herbert Spencer was not a paleontologist, he was a eugenicist. Dave Martell, yeah, you could have Dave Martell, yeah, absolutely.
Marianne!
Who said Marianne? Good for you, well done, yes. Full of ladies, yay!
We got to cross the park.
But the problem is that when you talk about these people, yes, Marianne, brilliant, Dave Martell, brilliant, fantastic. Unfortunately, you end up with Ross from Friends, or you end up with Indiana Jones. And the trouble is, most people, unfortunately, haven't heard of Dave Martell. Most people wouldn't know who Marianne is, and so you end up with this sort of caricature of who you are. And the other thing that's utterly ridiculous about the Indiana Jones analogy is I'm a paleontologist, he's an archaeologist. I mean, look at me, for goodness sake, it's an utterly ridiculous analogy. I'm a scientist and he would have been an arts major. But seriously, paleontologists, evolutionary biologists, we're thinking about the world, how it's got to be how it is. We think about the way that organisms fit into this brilliant place that we live in. We think about the events that have happened to get us to this place, and a lot of these events are not good. I mean, we're talking about things like asteroids hitting New York, well, sorry, not New York, an asteroid the size of New York, sorry, hitting New Mexico. And you know, you could have an issue, gone. Dinosaurs, put a crimp in their day, that's it, end of. We're looking at things like mass volcanism, the whole of the Deccan Traps in North India opening up and releasing literally millions of tons of lava and gas into the atmosphere. It destroys things' lives, it causes climate change, and it's that sort of thing that means that we have an idea of understanding the past, of how we can look to the future. How can we avoid making these mistakes again? How can we make sure that life has a future? And at the moment, there is a problem. And that problem is large and orange and in Washington. And he doesn't like evolution, doesn't like science, let alone evolution, goodness me. I mean, yay for the atheists. Yeah, I'll put my hand up in the air, yeah. It's one of those things, you know, in America, it's not cool to be an atheist. I mean, I'm not sure it's actually cool to be an atheist here. You know, it's definitely not cool in America, and I've experienced this firsthand. The stuff that's going on with the administration, that's not new. I taught evolution in small town America. I survived, but I got letters. And somebody, the one that sticks to mind is basically find the path before it's too late, burn in hell otherwise. Hee-haw, hallelujah. Best wishes, Pop and very powerful Baldwinsville, New York. That was how we finished. It was a little bit strange. And the trouble is, you see, and knowing how life has got to be here, as an evolutionary biologist, I know that we came from the primordial soup. Lineages have gone through. We've had slime molds, and it's terribly exciting. We've got some worms, and those worms have evolved into fish. I'm using worms with a small W before anyone says annelids are not any close to purpose. Worms with a small W. Fish give rise to amphibians. From the amphibians, we get the reptiles. Some of those reptiles developed hair and nurtured their young, and they developed a large brain, and they're sitting here and they're thinking, good Lord, that man, he's up there for the first time and he's hilarious. And that's the problem. All it takes is that pudgy orange finger and a red button, and we go back to the slime molds. And I think this is our problem, because our psychological evolution hasn't evolved as quickly as our civilization. We came down from the trees and we walked around, and it was hostile, and we were looking over our shoulder. That hairy guy behind me, he wants my buffalo hide. He's not having it. We fought, we threw rocks at him, we made him use a club. Well, the psychology is still the same. There's more stuff, there's more things, there's more, God knows what, Trump's in politics, he's got billions, he doesn't need any more. But he's worried about someone getting it. And so he's looking over his shoulder. Maybe it's the Russians, maybe it's the Chinese, maybe it's the EU, who knows, but he's worried about something. But now, he's not got a Trump and, he's not got a rock and a club, he's got a ballistic missile. He's actually got 7,100. I heard something today, it's really funny. He wants to have the most ballistic missiles. And the irony is, apparently, people are still worried, they'll still attack America. But if he has it with 7,100 nuclear missiles, if he has 8,000, they won't try. Arms races, they've gone so well before. But we end up where we're looking over our shoulder, and evolution, I can't understand, I can't explain it. I'm an evolutionary biologist. I have a PhD. Guys, there's a lot of you in here, I see tonight, thank you, who are working towards your PhDs, and I'm going to let you in on a secret because I think it's really, really important. Having a PhD actually makes life a bit more confusing, because we think about things and it makes sense. Why have they done that? That's stupid. And it makes sense. We don't know everything, but we can work things out. We have an idea of where life is going. And at the moment, I am completely lost. But here's a bit of advice if you're a PhD. It's really nice. Your family and your friends will think that you're intellectual. Nurture that. Remember, okay, just like Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. You are not just going to let yourselves down if you let someone know that as a PhD you don't know everything. Let them know, because it won't just be you whose life ends up with, you'll be letting down every other PhD who has maybe spent a lifetime convincing their friends, their relatives, their grandmas that they're brilliant. So for goodness sake, there's a lot of pressure on us. And as a PhD, as an evolutionary-developmental biologist, I am extremely proud. I'm very lucky. I've worked with brilliant people, and I've managed to get 2 Nature papers. Now, I don't know if you know what Nature is. It's the world's principal science journal, okay? It's pretentious, and that's why we love it. But I've had 2 papers that I've managed to contribute to, and not only 2 papers, we got the front cover of them both as well. The last one was 2014, but it's still in my memory, if not anyone else's. And I'm really proud of that. But the thing is, despite me trying my hardest to just push science forward, just make that bit of difference, just add to the vast knowledge of the human race. Despite that, my mum is my mum's a nurse, and she'd go around, she'd see, when I went to the States, I was say, oh, my son's, he's a professor. I'm not really a professor, Mum, it's just a silly name they give. I don't have a chair or anything. Yeah, oh, yes, I've told everybody a professor. Now she tells everyone about my entry in 2008. I got an email and I was asked to be real life Indiana Jones. I hope, really. I'll get my hack.